Ange Postecoglou has been speaking ahead of tomorrow night's Carabao Cup game against Coventry City, and he was defending his comments about winning a trophy in his second season with our very own Ian the Moose Abrahams.
It's confusing to me that people are making a big deal out of something. I'm not supposed to sure I'm supposed to answer something that is true. Like, if I don't win it in the second year this year and I come out next year and say, well, I always win it, well, no, actually it's not true. But I've just said something that's true, and it seems like it's upset a lot of people for some reason.
I think it's because it's unusual. We see a manager who...
Saying something true? Somebody said, yeah.
You can say that, I could possibly comment. No. But it's quite bashful about their team's prospects.
But it's... do you really think it's me sort of being boasting? Like, how am I supposed to answer something that's true? Is it to say, well, actually, no, it wasn't that important. They were easy competitions and they don't mean anything. And I mean, if you've achieved something, aren't you supposed to say, yes, I have, and that's what I hope to do again? I'm not really sure, like, why people misconstrue it as me trying to boast about something. I've answered a question, which I think somebody else brought up here anyway, before that, which is true, and that's always happened, and my plan is for it to happen again this year. And if it doesn't happen, then I can't answer that question in the same way next year. I can say mostly, not always.
There we are.
I think it's the old Aussie can do, Paul. I think there's been some, not lost in translation, but I think as British people, we often want to go, yeah, we're not very good. I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at that. I'm not going to celebrate my achievements. I'm not going. Whereas Australians and Americans often will celebrate their achievements and say them out loud, which I think is a good thing to do.
I mean, the bullishness of that is not necessarily backed up by the numbers and the stats at the moment from his team.
But has he always won a trophy in his second year? Yeah, well, there we go. It's true.
He didn't quite present that on Sky as a statement of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get the thoughts of Reshim Chowdhury. Hi, Reshim.
Hello, guys. How are you both?
Yeah, good. Thanks,
not bad.
Reshim.
It's interesting. As you're over there, you've probably not seen that Ange said he's going to make quite a few changes tomorrow night for that game against Coventry.
That's fine, actually.
I don't know how you feel about that. I'd like to see not that many changes. I'd certainly like to see Solanke play and get a goal. I'd like to see Brennan Johnson play and get his confidence up, because that seems to be an issue now. And I was at Fulham last year, and as soon as I saw the team, I knew we'd lost. So we don't want a repeat of that, really.
I'm absolutely with you on that one, because I was about to say, after the debacle of Fulham last season, I don't think we can take that risk. And you know, he's talking about winning a cup in his second season. Well, which cup do you want to win? Because you've got to be in it to win it. And if what we saw happen last season happens this season, he's got no recourse. And I completely agree with you, because we've got players who actually, having played this game in the North London derby, they lost, they're defeated, they will feel defeated, and they need to find a way to regain their confidence. And what better way is there than to play again in a game that, you know, you want to be in? You can't just go bumping off competitions early by making all those changes. I'm absolutely with you. Yeah, I didn't hear him say that, and I'm surprised that he has said that. You know, being here in Madrid, I didn't see that, and I think, why would you do that after what happened last season? Very surprised and not very enthused, and just a little bit. But nervous.
Well, I suppose the only thing you could say, he hasn't got many options at centre forward with Charlison injured, so you would think Solanke would play. With respect, Davinson Sanchez left the club about 3 or 4 days later, and Emerson. There's not, I don't quite know how to put this, there's not the sort of make-weight players that essentially they were at that stage. There are players like Archie Gray and Bergvall that need some game time, Dragoshin. So I think it's an upgrade on the sort of players that could come in, are an upgrade on maybe what we saw last year.
I agree with you in those terms, absolutely. But they're an upgrade, but they're still unproven at the highest level as well. I mean, Dragoshin had a great Euros, or a good Euros, but I still think, are we really going to rely on these new players who are still bedding in? I'm not so sure that we can, to be honest with you, given the squad that we have. I think, when you look at what he's trying to build, I don't think, it doesn't fill me with that much confidence. I know Archie Gray has come in here with, a big sort of kind of plaudits from his Leeds days, and I think he will prospect, and Bergvall as well. I mean, they see him as someone who they can build the entire team around going forward, and I know that he's a massive prospect for the club. But now, at this stage
Yeah.
with so little experience. I'm not buying that, if I'm honest with you. I'm still deflated, guys, from Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, you keeping the faith with you on the final one on Spurs, because I mean there's been a pretty hysterical reaction to it, and there's been a bit of Ange out trending. I mean, you've got to give the guy a chance to bed in and keep doing what he's doing. I mean, it's far too early for that, but he's under pressure. Definitely, I think there's more eyes on him, not just because of what's happened at the start of this season, but also what happened at the tail end of last season.
Yeah, because if you take away the first 10 games of last season, what did we do? We won 8, I think it was. And then Chelsea came along and we thought, this High Line is so much fun. This is great. What amazing football. And then it did tail off. And, I remember having a big rant after we lost 4-0 to Newcastle. That was live on talkSPORT. I just couldn't hold back. And you just think it's hard to keep the faith when you start the season as poorly as you have, but we almost don't have an option other than to keep the faith, because he is a different style of manager to Project Mourinho, Project Antonio Conte. He's someone who you think is building more for the long term, and he's got a plan, and they're supporting his plan. But at the moment, for me, it's the lack of the plan B and the set pieces that's just hurting. And I've heard lots of professional footballers who have been in and around the kind of Celtic squad from previously when Ange was there, and apparently the feeling is there is no plan B, it's just more of plan A. I don't know if that really works when you're in this top division, when you're juggling this many options. Last season we didn't have Europe, and it still didn't work out that well for us, so there's a lot of work to do. I do have the faith, but I'm also, how do I put it, pragmatic.
Yeah, I can see. I'm sure you're not alone in that. We, in the fullness of time, we will find out. You can take your mind off it tonight by watching the mighty Real Madrid versus Stuttgart.
Oh, yeah.
And Jude Bellingham's back, but he's probably going to be on the bench, I would think, isn't he?
Yeah, I think they're still sort of bringing him. What was in 4 games with muscle injury, so I think they, it would be wonderful to see Bellingham and Mbappe in, the first game of the Champions League. But I don't think we're going to see it like that. I think you're right. I think they'll bring him on as an impact sub, and we'll see how that one goes. Very exciting to see Mbappe starting up front. But sort of, I don't know how Carlo Ancelotti's going to solve the Vinicius and Mbappe dilemma, really, because they love to play on the left. They're both incredible players, but I think it's going to be a good game. I quite like the fact that it's a big game to start with. The Bernabeu was always incredible on a Champions League night. I've not seen this new incarnation of the stadium either. I mean, I used to work at Real Madrid. I left about 14 years ago, and been to the stadium since before lockdown. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. I mean, they're the champions. Like, it's going to be a great atmosphere tonight, and yeah, I'm doing that with TNT this evening. It's a late kickoff here, by the way, 9 p.m. over here.
Yeah.
So fair
and Villa would have played by then against Young Boys and Juve, PSV. So a couple of interesting games for you guys to chat about, before the Real Madrid match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much going on TNT. I think we've got, what was the number? It's something huge, like over 500 games, 500 European games across the 3 tournaments, which is absolutely crazy, isn't it? Really, when you think of it. And actually, obviously, with
you'll be exhausted, Reshim, doing all that.
You're not doing them all, are you? That's
European football's different though. It hits different. It's got a different vibe. This new format, I think the fact that there were more competitive games early on, I think we're going to see some really, really good ones. I think this one could be quite good. I still back Real Madrid to beat Stuttgart. They've not had a great start to the season, but I still think they're going to see some fantastic games across the network.
They've not been smashing teams, have they? They've had 2 draws and a couple of 2-0s, I think it is. And so
Barca have started well.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting tonight.
And then Barca are ahead of the table at the moment, aren't they? Yeah. So, yeah, it's all very exciting. I think that's, whenever the European football comes back, there's always a little bit of magic in the air. I really, really love those opening Champions League games, actually. There's just something, because you're still in September, the weather's still nice, the deep winter hasn't kicked in yet. It's almost sort of the remnants of summer, but we've got something exciting ahead. And I think this season could be pretty good.
And so you fly back from the glamour of Madrid to Stratford, probably on a wet Saturday lunchtime for us for West Ham Chelsea at the weekend, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got I'm doing Atalanta Arsenal in between, so I'm going to Milan tomorrow for that one, which also should be fantastic because that is obviously the Europa League holders against Arsenal. What a week for Arsenal. I mean, they started off well, didn't they, by beating us, obviously, Spurs. But and then they've got City at the weekend, so that should be a fantastic one as well. And then, yes, I am at Stratford on Saturday for West Ham, which should be West Ham Chelsea will be interesting.
It's always a lively game. Yeah. Reshim, we'll let you go. Have fun. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Reshim.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Take care. Reshim Chowdhury, game day host, of course, and TNT host.
Yeah, I'd like some of her air miles.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's jet setting around, and you'll catch her tonight at the all new Bernabeu. And that's one of many.
I didn't go to the old
games.
Bernabeu, and now I regret it, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to go to I've got a friend in Madrid, and she said, "Oh, come and visit us."
I sat right at the back in the They call it the vomitorium.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And it was a quite. We just went there on a bit of a gentleman's, and it was Real Madrid vitally. They beat them 7-2. Madrid got 7 goals. Beckham and Zidane sort of era.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I went to Barcelona, yeah.
Yeah, we used to go there quite a lot. But anyway, there's Reshim there, TNT host throughout the Champions League and beyond.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.